I guess we're live on the air now. Are we live on the air now?
We're live!
Wow.
Hello,
Coming to
everybody. It's
you.
Tuesday.
It is live. Coming to you live. It's not Memorex. It is live. And if I'm dating myself terribly by saying that, then so be it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torrent Tuesday. This is your one-stop shop for everything hobbity goodness. We're going to talk about dragons, elves, dwarves, wizards, and hobbits, and all kinds of Silmarils and cool first age stuff. And not only are we here with the usual compatriot that I have here in Tolkien crime. Here, this is Mr. Justin Sewell, the man pushing all the buttons behind the green curtain. There's also a wonderful guest who's joined us. This is Varking Runesong. Varking, known to everybody on our Discord, he is the dwarf with the most. And just the coolest of people. And again, we're coming to you live as we do every week from the all volunteer web community of the OneRing.net. Thank you for joining us in the show, everybody. We're going to turn on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Discord. Everybody else is coming through live. We have multiple platforms going. So come, bring in your questions and your comments and come and join the show with us today. My name is Clifford Broadway, your amiable host, and it is lovely to see you all again. Thank you for being here, folks.
Varking, it's been a crazy couple weeks on the Discord and Reddit. How has it been moderating not only Lord of the Rings on Prime on Reddit, but you've got some other big TV show subreddits that you mod.
Yeah, so
Oh,
obviously I
really?
have LOTR on Prime is like my main one. It's the one that I feel like it's partly my baby. I helped it grow from like
Oh,
2,000
yes.
members to the 600 plus thousand that it's at. Recently, I joined the actual LOTR subreddit mod team a couple months ago, so we're doing that. And currently, Apple TV Plus has a show coming out, or it's out now, called Severance. It's had 2 episodes, and it is blowing up with activity. All the theories, people are texting me all the time, things that they think I probably didn't hear, but it's been very, very active.
Tell me, Severance is now in its second or third season, right?
Second season.
Second season. And from what I understand, the first season was an office comedy drama set
Hmm.
in a real specific like cube farm. And
Hmm.
now all of a sudden, if I'm not mistaken, now it's become some really bizarre hallucinogenic quasi dream state of a thing. And this is wild to me because I conceptually don't understand what's going on at all. I'm very enticed to come and see this. And they've got other good stuff on Apple Plus, including Silo, which is darn good sci-fi.
Love
Really good
Silo.
show. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Highly recommended. So don't spoil anything for Severance for me because I'm going to go back all the way back to season 1 and start and learn
Oh
about
my
what that
god,
is.
Severance felt like work watching the whole season, but when you get to the final episode of season 1, it
Yeah.
clicks together in a way that's so powerful. It's made it one of my top 10 TV shows of the last 5 years.
Really?
It
Has
was.
it gone metaphysical now? Is that what's really happening? Has it gone
I'm not
just
going to say anything more other than
okay,
yes, it's an
okay.
office. If it's an office comedy,
Okay.
sci-fi comedy. It's an office sci-fi comedy, and when it gets to the final episode of season 1, it clicks in so hard that
Wow.
you're just hook, line, and sinker. And there isn't anyone who has complained about the end of season 1, and season 2 looks like it's on the road. But we're not here to talk about
Okay.
Severance and Ben
No,
Stiller.
no.
We're here to talk about the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power has a season 3. Everyone on
Hmm.
the internet is so mad that they just will not announce the season 3 renewal. But if you've been paying attention to Fellowship of
Mm-hmm.
Fans and
Mm-hmm.
Torn and the Reddit, you'll know that there's a writer's room and there's a new contract, and the studio bosses have all said season 3's ahead. And we've got so much news about season 3. And today we're going to help.
Good.
Barking is here to help talk us through the brand new season 3 leaks. This is the first leak ever from season 3, and we're going to dive into what it means. But before we
Okay.
get there, Cliff,
Okay.
today is a very
Okay.
special day.
It is. Why is it a very special day? Um, Actually, 24 hours ago, I was celebrating the birth of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, as well as I was celebrating um, the birth of Clifford Scott Broadway. Oh my gosh, it actually happened. Um, and as we all know, birthday celebrations will continue this entire week long, all through the
Until
week,
morale improves. I get it.
until morale improves. Yes. You know what? I want to resurface that amazing party invite that came from John Ronald Reuel Tolkien when he was having a big house party. Can you pull that up real quick, Justin? Tolkien party invite, because it has the best jokes written in very tiny, tiny print on the bottom of the invite. Let's pull that up. I know you can find it. That's it. I see it. You found it. Yeah, that's the one. Show everyone this full screen. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Everybody is particularly lovely there in the live chat. Um, there is that invite. It says, "Thank you very much. Professor and Mrs. Tolkien request the pleasure of your company on Wednesday, November 21st, 1945." But we'll change that to Monday, January 27th, 2025 instead of 1945, to assist them in celebrating the coming of age of their son, Sub-Lieutenant Christopher J.R. Tolkien. Oh my goodness. But there at the very bottom, there's some really good stuff. It says, carriages at midnight, ambulances at 2 a.m., wheelbarrows at 4 a.m. Is that
5
right?
a.m.
At 5 a.m., and then hearses at daybreak. Yeah, that's so funny. So they were having such a banger of a party that they were reminding you that you can have your carriages leave at midnight, which is, I believe, a Cinderella reference, but the ambulances will take you away later, and then we'll put your body in a wheelbarrow even later at 5 a.m. But then, if at daybreak, if you're still partying with them, you're going home in a hearse. That's just it's great. And yeah, thank you for
Well, T is in the
really
chat room
funny.
as well. Hi T, and Jordan Rennells is
Hello,
in
T.
there, and we're
Hello there.
celebrating Clifford's birthday. And a week
Oh
ago,
goodness.
Varking, it
Oh
was your
goodness.
birthday.
Yes,
It
and happy
was
birthday,
one week
Varking.
apart from a legend.
No, no, no. Amadeus, he is quite the legend. Um, you guys having a birthday, especially right now when I've escaped from the hillside burning down, and I still have a home, and I have such a sharper, really sharper perspective and a sense of gratitude about things in my life that I have not had in a very long time. Believe me, I'm feeling the gratitude all around. I really am. It is
And
it
that's
is
all the
remind
time we have for his birthday speech.
it,
We have so much.
my dear Bagginses and Boffins, let's start the whole thing.
Well,
What's funny is I had to do a big Lord of the Rings wedding on Sunday evening in the middle of the rain that we had, lovely rain, because Los Angeles County had not had any rainfall for 262 consecutive days. So we had this amazing rain that came through, and I'm out there in a Gandalf costume, doing Gandalf the Grey, doing this wonderful, wonderful Lord of the Rings themed ceremony. And you know what? No one complained. All the guests were in very bright spirits, being outside under the beautiful wisteria, under the trees.
we've never
They loved
seen
it. It was
Gandalf in the
so
rain, have we? Like, I picture
no,
Gandalf with his big
no.
pointy hat, but a rainstorm like Unforgiven, where like the rain
Well,
is just
no.
dripping off the brim of Clint Eastwood's hat, right?
It was in a snowstorm.
There's a
He
snowstorm, but
was
there's
in
a
a
little bit of a
snowstorm.
there's a rainstorm in the first Hobbit film, and Bilbo starts to complain about Gandalf not being willing to use his magic powers to make the rain disappear.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that. There's that moment.
Amazon, if you're listening, we want more Gandalf in the rain, dark, moody Gandalf. That's what I would like at this point. Dark, moody Gandalf walking through the rain in unknown lands. Just think Unforgiven, right? Like, that's what I want. Hey, Cliff, it's not just your birthday. It's a couple other people's birthdays. Yes,
Oh, yes,
sir.
that's right.
Today
That's
is
right.
Elijah Wood's 44th birthday.
Oh, wow. Elijah and I are also these Aquarian kids. I didn't. I didn't know that I was on the 28th, or I had forgotten. But happy birthday, Elijah. It's fantastic. Good news for horror fans. Elijah Wood, who showed up a few years ago in this bizarre makeup with this straggly wig and hair off of his head and these weird teeth, he is actually going to appear in that movie Toxic Avenger, which had been put on the shelf for a number of years, but finally it has a theatrical distributor. So that's it. If you're looking forward to this, we're going to
This
see
is the
Elijah Wood,
closest he's ever been to Gollum.
Smeagol. Yeah,
Yeah,
look at that.
Gollum Frodo.
It's like Lord of the
So
Rings. What if?
it is. It is a totally what if. But there's Elijah Wood. I wish you the very best for your birthday. Um, I've been hearing from so many wonderful people, even Michael Pellerin contacted me and said, "Before the day is out, I hope you have a wonderful birthday, my lad." And I'm like, "Oh, he's such a good member of our Torn family.
Well,
Our
people in our
he's
Discord
great."
have been bringing up old Elijah Wood tweets because today is his 44th birthday. Uh,
Yes.
Remember when he was going around to random islands in Animal Crossing and saying,
Yes.
"Long live Ryan Johnson"? He is a fan of The Last Jedi, which makes him a friend of mine. Yes, Elijah, you are on the right side of history. Ryan Johnson was the best Star Wars sequel director. Also, what people found this old tweet. He replying to Star Wars Holocron saying, "Did you know the Sith Eternal Fleet seen in The Rise of Skywalker was created by Sith cultists on Exegol, who indoctrinated Exegol's population with Sith values and raised and trained their children to become officers, mechanics, and soldiers for the Final Order?" Elijah says, "No. How could we have known?" Which kind of sums up a lot of stuff with Rings of Power. Now that we're in this 2-year hiatus in between seasons, a lot of people are like, wow, we're learning more about the show in the interviews about the show than actually in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
It's a fair critique.
And the funny part is most of the executive producers and producers on Rings of Power, their last job was actually producing Rise of Skywalker. Amazon hired most of the team from Rise of Skywalker to jump in and make Rings of Power. So there is a definite connection between all this. Anyway, we're coming full circle. Elijah Wood's not the only birthday today, Cliff.
Oh, good gosh. Tell me, who else have I missed?
Your old pal, your old friend, Henry Mortensen. Yes, Henry Mortensen.
Oh, yes.
On the
I
right
love
there,
Henry. He's the coolest.
The son of Vigo that convinced Vigo to take the role of Aragorn and leave the country for 2 years to go be Aragorn in New Zealand. And there he is at a recent, this might be a couple years ago with Jim Carrey. But Henry Mortensen, we thank you for your service. We thank you for your friendship with the OneRing.net and all the fans. And it's just
man.
Happy birthday, Henry. It's
very,
it's so
very
wonderful.
many happy returns to you, Henry. He's such a great guy. Great to have an interview with. And he's been very generous to the community of Tolkien fans. And he not only is he kind of like to be given the special golden feather in his Tom Bombadil hat because he convinced his dad to take the role of a lifetime. And he was just a boy then. But
T,
since
you're
then,
getting ahead of me. T
is here.
You're getting
Yes,
ahead
yes,
of me
T.
because there's
I'm glad T with
fourth
Tolkien is
birthday.
here.
We just talked about Varkings last
Do
week.
another one.
Clifford, Henry Mortensen, Elijah Wood, and today is Emma Horvath's birthday. Yes, folks.
Yes.
Arian herself. Am I saying that right? Arian or
Eodian.
It's
Earian.
Eodian.
Eodian.
Wow,
Eodian.
I totally got that wrong.
Speculation continues that Eodian will be the grand architect of the future Temple of Morgoth that will be built on Menel Tarma, the holy mountain at the top of the elevation above Numenor. Oh my goodness. That's an interesting fan theory, but I think it's going to hold. I think that theory is one of the better fan theories that might just end up being true.
Varking, have you ever have you chatted with Emma at any of the events that we've been at?
Yeah, actually, well, I think it's okay to say this because she's posted pictures that she was pregnant at some point. But when we went to one of the events, I think it was Comic-Con. That was the first time that I saw her where she had a little belly, and then we knew that there was a baby on the way, and it was
Oh,
really cool moment. And to see somebody that I got introduced to from the Rings of Power, and we've had some chats, and she's talked about it in a couple interviews before. But it feels like it's cool to see a friend in a show living their life, and then outside of the show they're doing big things. It's just nothing but happy feelings for her. Happy birthday, and hope she has a good one.
Jimmy Mack in the chat room says Emma name checked you, Varking, in an
She
interview.
did. She put me on the map. Nobody knew who I was before then. I was just some Reddit mod nerd that people pointed fingers at. But after that, a lot more people pointed fingers at me because she brought a little bit of a shine to me. So got that extra hate, but well worth it for making friends.
That's so awesome. That's
Well,
totally very happy birthday, Emma, to you as well. That's so cool.
so good, so good. So we've got some other news before we get to the first season 3 leaks. We've got some other big news. Cliff, I don't think I sent you this, so this might be a surprise to you, and I know how
Oh dear.
you love surprises.
I know how you love to surprise me, but please go ahead, bring it.
Well, here we go. This just leaked today. We have not verified its authenticity, but it looks authentic. A Lego bag end is rumored for April.
Oh, how cool.
Look at how charming that is.
That's going to be really cool.
How charming is that price point potentially? Because Legos have gotten expensive.
Well, especially the massive sets.
We have first details about the next new Lego Lord of the Rings. Of course, last week, Tuesday, you saw Matt, Nerd of the Rings, assembling a Lego Barad-dûr, right? Or Lego Orthanc. I forget which one he was making. But so this new bag end set, rumored for April. Piece count says 2,000 pieces.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be, the bag end will probably cost somewhere between $180 to $250.
Oh, this is going to be so popular. This is going to be so popular. Look at that.
Is there any dwarves in there?
I see
Look
Ballin.
at that.
I see Ballin.
Uh-oh.
And there's dwarves there. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Might have to grab that.
I see multiple. Varking here is a single issue voter. He only
yes,
cares about
single
dwarves.
issue voter. Bring it. Okay, look at this. There it is.
There we go.
That looks great.
Now we're ready to spend money on dwarvish things.
The picture on the right actually reminds me of Tales of the Shire, which I think comes out in April, right, of this year as well. Where the purpose of the game is to gather food stuffs and cook meals for your neighbors. So this is pretty charming, and I like this. I like the vibes of this. It's not intimidating like the huge Orthanc and Barad-dûr sets. This looks like I could put it together.
It looks like something that the children and younglings in the family would also enjoy helping put together.
Higgy Baby says, I feel loved. Thank you most of all. Oh, we are sending our best to you, Higgy, as you go through a loss in the family. We've been appreciate you posting about it and keeping everybody up to date. That's not the only new toy that's coming out. I don't know if are Legos toys? Legos are toys.
They count.
Technically, that's where you find them, is in the toy aisle. Yes.
Well, for the first time ever since Embracer purchased Middle-earth Enterprises, the very first Embracer-made product has been announced. This is wholly developed inside Embracer because they own Asmodee Games. So Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship has been announced for June 2025, designed by Matt Leacock. It is.
If I'm not mistaken, look at the illustrations. Does it name the illustrator on that artwork? If I am not mistaken, I think I know that illustrator. I think I know who that is.
Do you know?
Hold on, just 1 second. I'm going to bring something back to the camera from my library shelf. Hold on, be
All
Ooh,
right
right,
back.
he's gonna do that. This is based on the Pandemic game. I don't know if anyone's played Pandemic. It's a real fun game.
it is.
It was out before the pandemic. Let's be clear about that. Man, my chair keeps falling down. Yeah, this is the very first. Embracer owns Asmodee Games, and so they've announced for June 2025 Fate of the Fellowship based on the Pandemic system. Varking, talk to us about the Pandemic game system.
I've only played it one time, and it was for me. I felt like very noob friendly because a lot of board games to me are very intimidating. It wasn't obviously a Lord of the Rings one that I got to play. I was just over a buddy's house who I play D&D with sometimes, and we were able to just jump into it and get right rolling, and everything was just super easy to understand. It wasn't a lot of effort or knowledge required to actually play the game. One thing I do respect and appreciate though is this is announced today and it's coming out in a couple months. It's very nice to have a company where they announce something and then you're not having this long like year, maybe 2 years sometimes waiting for the thing to come out, or movies get delayed and pushed back and then you're waiting 7 8 more months. It's nice that this is going to drop soon and not too long after Tales of the Shire drops.
Yeah, totally. And this will be
Hopefully Lord of the Rings fans will have a couple different things that they can play.
and this is before Comic-Con. So, we might be able to play it. We might be able to get some copies and play it at Comic-Con.
Ooh.
That would be fun, right?
Yeah, swing by the booth.
So,
You know what I think? Back that game, it seems to me, is illustrated. At least just looking at the box art, if you could bring that back, that is the artwork of Daniel Govar, and Daniel Govar is now a really well-established fantasy illustrator, but he got started doing the book covers for the OneRing.net, The People's Guide to J.R.R. Tolkien. And he did the covers for both volumes. We have 2 volumes of this. These books are a compendium of our scholarly articles from the Green Books days, when we had Green Books literary magazine on the OneRing.net. But I'm not mistaken, because I can tell his artwork a million miles away. We licensed a lot of his images for our documentary, Ringers, Lord of the Fans, and even Matt, Nerd of the Rings, and a lot of other content creators regularly license the artwork of Daniel Govar. But now look, it looks, if I'm not mistaken, that is absolutely his illustrations for this Middle-earth game. Very cool. And congratulations to the game designers for getting a wonderful new game out the door. I had a really interesting conversation with a bunch of friends during my birthday yesterday, and it was talking about game design and how, honestly, I've started to admit to myself that I'm really interested in going into board game design. But there is a thing that hinders you in getting progress in that area. Daniel Govar's work is absolutely beautiful. But if you're going to be a really, really good game designer, you have to be really good at statistics and math. And we're talking about the guy who did not score very well on his college entrance exams with his math. I didn't do it. I mean, my reading comprehension score was through the roof, top of the charts, highest score you could get on the ACT test. But my math result, it was in the pits. So I'm thinking and daydreaming constantly about how cool it would be to design the next awesome Lord of the Rings board game. And I don't have the maths. I don't have the other half of my brain that works the way it needs to work to be able to do it. So anyways, you never know what's going to happen. But this is really cool to me. You guys, you can talk all day long about the console video games and the really cool iPhone games that are coming out. My interest gets incredibly sparked up when we're talking about tabletop, cardboard, dice, poly, beautiful polyhedral dice. I love that stuff. I'm a tabletop man. I just can't help it.
So are you gonna
So I'm gonna.
pre-order this, Cliff, or what?
Yes,
You're
I cannot
selling
wait
me
to
on
get
it.
my hands on this. I want to tell you that is this based on the pandemic game? Did you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
really popular game. I'm familiar with it. So this is going to be super cool. I'm totally down for this. Totally
All
down.
right, our third product announcement. Oh my gosh, it's been a big week for Lord of the Rings product announcements. Berg Schneider in Germany, I believe. That sounds very German, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Announced an official licensing deal with Middle Earth Enterprises, and they're creating something called Middle Earth Adventures. Nerd of the Ring says Berkshire just announced their official partnership with Middle Earth Enterprises to explore Middle Earth in the first live action role playing events and costumes beginning in fall of this year. Cliff.
This is so awesome. This is so awesome. Do you remember the quest when Mark Ordesky had created this
Yes! The
remarkable
quest!
live it was a
Yeah.
live action RPG game, but it was like a survivor a reality based competition game, but it was the quest. That's what this sounds like. It really does. It's going to be cool.
Varking,
Um
did you
t-
hear about any of this? Did you get the demo?
I mean I didn't get anything in my DMs or anything beforehand when this dropped or whatever, but it's very very exciting. Obviously they have, cosplay as one of the hashtags down there, and I think that there's a lot of people who love Lord of the Rings, and they have to go, if you want to play in the backyard and you're a kid and you want a sword, you have to like have a Minecraft sword or something else. It would be very exciting to me to know that for like the masses, you'd be able to go out and get a LARPing replica type weapon of Gandalf's staff or Aragorn's sword or something else from Lord of the Rings that looks like what it looks like in the movies, where it's not you having to pretend the thing you're holding and it's not super, super expensive. Like, that's my hope for this, is that a lot more kids in the younger generation will be able to get their hands on some of this stuff and enjoy it.
So they have
so
a whole
cool.
license deal with Dungeons and Dragons. Wonderful cosplay for purchase, and I guess one is they're both owned by the same company, but I guess they announced a full LARP in that announcement. So the expectation is that they'll have cosplay available to buy, whether or not you go to the LARP or not,
Hmm.
right?
But if they
Um,
can throw an event or two together and have fans show up and participate, and it just seems like it would be such a good time.
Yeah, this looks great. These guys are well known across the LARPing landscape, and they've done a bunch of events, very generic kind of medieval events. And we're not talking just well, what are those things that they do every season? There was an HBO documentary about it, right? The medieval, not medieval times. Cliff, what
You
am
mean
I
like the
talking?
Renaissance Fair?
Yeah, Ren Fair. This is more than a Ren Fair. Is that right?
Oh
I
yeah,
would
way
think so.
more than a Ren Fair. Yeah, this whole thing is about having a completely scripted adventure that you're partaking in, right?
Well, you tell me. What is LARPing? I've
All
heard
right.
live action role play and LARPing, but I've never participated. Like, is
Uh,
it more than a Ren Fair?
well, a Ren Fair is not structured with a narrative. It's just a lot of different merchants and food vendors and artisans who have different things that they sell, and they have different entertainment pieces, including archery and jousting. And they have people with equestrian skills who do these really complicated stunts and horse shows. They do not have a thing where you enter a story, you are given a character and a set of stats and an objective, and you go through the entire story facing puzzles, brain teasers, monsters, challenges. Nothing like that happens at a Renaissance fair.
Wait,
At a
do I
Ren
have to
fair,
like actually play the character?
yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. This is what this is. Yeah. When you're at a Ren fair, you can just be there, grab a turkey leg, and enjoy the day. You can buy some candles and buy some other leather gear that a beautiful handmade stuff that a leather worker is making from their craft table, but you're not going to get involved in a real adventure, which is a structured narrative. And what this Middle Earth adventures thing is promising is that you're going into it. You're going into it with the plot and an objective and a lot of variability in how you can or cannot get there with different obstacles, puzzles, and monsters that would be in your way. But it's all set within the Middle Earth intellectual property. And more power to them. It sounds like the TV show, The Quest, in a really specific Middle Earth vein, is what it sounds like. It's
Is
not being
that something
televised.
you're interested in,
Not being
Cliff? Would you
televised.
are you going to do this thing?
I'd be so interested in that. Yeah, I would be totally into that.
What role would
To-
you play?
Me, a magic user of some kind. I would love to be. Every time I'm in my own Dungeons and Dragons games, I don't pick the druids, the thieves, the tanks. I'm not a barbarian. I'm not a paladin. I'm not a ranger. I'm usually some type of a sorcerer or a magic user. Um, and if I can help it, I like to be the tabaxi species because they're like the humanoid cats, the cat people. They're really cool. Tabaxi people in D&D are the coolest. It's the coolest race of beings to be.
Varking, what would you be in a LARP?
Okay, so I've thought about this for about 7 seconds right now, and here's what I came up with. I like to do the unexpected, right? So, a rogue, a stealth character is an option. I would like to be the world's fattest, stealthy rogue, where every time I sneak up on somebody, they're like, "How did that big guy get behind?" Like, but it's too late. It's too late. I've already backstabbed him, hit him with a critical attack, or snared him, and they can't move as fast anymore. I think that's what I'd go with.
Well, this is
What
the
about you,
D&D
Justin? What role would
license.
you pick?
Ah, I don't know.
I feel like
don't
you'd
know.
make a good paladin.
Would I? You guys tell me. I don't have to look at myself. So you guys
You'll
look
have a
at me.
sword, shield. You'll be able to do some healing magic if you need it in a pinch.
Paladin.
Mm-hmm. Yep, on the top left there.
Yeah.
Paladins are like serious, what you'd call lawful good, and I see Justin more as a chaotic good type of character, not a lawful good
You know
character.
what? That is correct. He would be
I
chaotic good.
I do see Justin because maybe I've known him a bit longer than you, Varking, but it's it's
So would
entirely
that be a
possible.
sorcerer? I tell you what I play in World of Warcraft and in online games is
A
usually I play
rogue?
the healer. I'll
Hmm.
play a magician and a healer that isn't on the front line but stays back to heal people, maybe get a big hit in, but then run away. I don't know if that makes me a monk or a wizard right there.
I think
Uh,
that what you're describing is more wizard-like. Being in the back lines, you don't want to take the damage. You need a tank in front of you to absorb the hits, so you can stand back, spend your time casting your spells and obliterating people.
I like this blue Bordeaux set. It's only $99. These are not crazily priced, and this is the D&D stuff. So anyway, this was just announced. You saw it on some of your favorite influencers. So the cosplay and LARPing company Berg Schneider is now doing Middle Earth Adventures and a giant or small, I don't know, this first live action role playing event beginning in fall 2025. I can't wait to hear
Fascinating.
more information on that.
This is going to be really fascinating.
Wow. Well, should we get to the big news then?
Yes.
Because
No more burying the lead. Let's do it.
let's do it. Where were we here? Bringing up the thing.
Yeah, we're 35 minutes into the show. We need to get right to it.
Well, first off, Alex Dissenhoff is one of the most successful, competent, creative cinematographers for the Rings of Power series. He's done more episodes than anybody else as cinematographer, taking up the mantle left by Andrew Lesney, rest in peace. Alex Dissenhoff has been generous with his posts on Instagram, and he posted this on his story last week. Says he's back in the UK for the next 10 months. Again, the guy that has been the cinematographer for Varking, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 episodes?
Yeah, I think a lot of them were Charlotte's.
Yeah. So at least 6 episodes of Rings of Power uh,
Right.
is in the UK for the next 10 months. So that's our first season 3 scoop, folks. We can confirm through this post that looks like production for season 3 is scheduled to take 10 months.
Just because of Alex making this slight, fun comment about, the new town's mayor dressing up like Stephen Fry as the master of Lake Town.
And
Yeah,
and
totally Stephen Fry Lake
that is
Town
the
outfit.
mayor of
Ah,
Bray. Bray is the little countryside village outside of Windsor, where Windsor Castle is, where the king and
yes.
queen stay, right? So Bray Studios is where they shot the main Aragon set. Am I correct, Varking? Right? The outdoor
I
set?
definitely think that I think there was an Elvish set there for sure.
There was an Elvish
Oh,
set
yes.
and there was an Orc camp set, but there's nothing Dwarven at Bray Studios, unfortunately, as far as we know. At least outdoors that leaked. So anyway, Bray Studios, this is the mayor of Bray. So looks like that's our second scoop. They're shooting at Bray Studios for season 3.
10 months of shooting. That's going to be a nice long time. That means we're not seeing anything of season 3 until well into 2026.
How does this compare to the length of shooting time for season 1 and season 2?
Good question.
Well, I think part of it is he's not there for the full shoot. He's got specific episodes that he's going to do. So 10 months for his episodes, I'd have to go back and listen to some interviews and podcasts. I think it falls in line with how long he did some of his stuff for season 2 as well. Because I know like the battle scenes with Charlotte, they talked about how those took a long time to come together. Um, yeah, I don't think it's too long or too little. But it's good to know that it feels like they're ready for his piece of the puzzle to come together where he needs to be there now.
I'm just doing some quick number crunching. Season 2 began production in November of 2022, and the wrap party, I believe Fellowship of Fans reported, was July or August of 2023. Do you remember, Varking?
I don't.
Okay.
I mostly stay out of all that stuff, you know. I'm just kind of like the guy on the side, and then I show up for videos.
Well, so November to, let's say, August is 9 months. So the fact that he's going to be there in the UK in Bray for 10 months means this might be a longer shoot than season 2.
It could be for sure.
Is that a good thing or bad thing? We don't know. Another we can't confirm this, is this random quote from the subreddit. Mickey the Fist says, "It starts filming in May. We still have time to learn swords and turn up to set." He says, "I know someone that's on it. They're crewing at the moment for next season." Varking, as far as you know, are they crewing? Can we confirm that?
I would actually. I think they have been crewing. I guess depending on what you are defining as crewing. I think Rings of Power era put out a tweet recently where they shared that there's been some pre-production going on. I think on graphics or something since November is what they put it. I think I have it as one of the sticky threads on the subreddit at the moment.
Okay,
But yeah, obviously the teams are starting to come together. More and more people showing up for work for season 3 of Rings of Power,
all right.
even though
So
it's getting canceled.
if we
right?
combine both of these leaks, it starts filming in May, and and Alex is scheduled for 10 months. Where does that put us? May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March of next year.
And they'll be in post-production for a very long time after that.
Yeah, but they don't have to do Balrogs anymore, so maybe that'll help them scale back the amount of CGI time invested into the show.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
that Balrog is now sealed under the mountains until it comes back to life at some way, way, way future point.
And I need it to not be here for season 3 to add a little bit more of this not so happy dynamic between Durin and his brother, because his brother can show up and he's like, no, but the Balrog killed our father and then we sealed him in. I'll show you where he's at. And then they go there, don't see the Balrog. And then his brother's even more mad and thinks that Durin killed his dad because the last anybody saw them together, they were butting heads the whole time. So just a little bit more,
Hmm.
a little more flair for the dramatic.
Wow, yeah, the possibility for uh, family intrigue is heightened in this case. Um, you know
guys,
what?
if this doesn't finish filming, I mean, just lensing, forget post production and editing and visual effects, okay? If this isn't scheduled to complete until March of 2026, do you think we get season 3 in 2026 if filming is still going on through March of next year? Or do you think there's going to be a 3-year wait now for the next season?
Nah, nah, it's got to be 2. It's got to be 2. That way they can keep their little Wheel of Time 1 year, Rings of Power the other year, going back and forth until they're done.
Hmm.
3 years is a long time to wait. I just did it for Severance.
I just received a spy report just now. This is
Ooh.
exclusive. I just got a spy report from my person embedded in Wellington, New Zealand, and he's telling me all these little whispers, like a very good little bird who just landed on my shoulder to whisper secrets in my ear. Do you guys want to hear this? Here it is. Breaking
I
news.
do.
Weta spies are reporting to him from Weta Workshop that as of this day, the 28th of January, Weta Workshop has still not yet been approached officially by the production team at New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers, to work on The Hunt for Gollum yet. Not yet. We're jumping out from Rings of Power conversation just to interject that Weta Workshop is waiting impatiently for Hunt for Gollum to be officially brought to them as a thing that they will work on
Well, that
officially.
makes sense
That's
because
very
the
interesting.
script, as far we reported that the scripts were due for Hunt for Gollum before Christmas, and so those scripts would still be under review right now. We're barely through
Really?
January, so of course
No,
you're not
here
going to call Weta until there's an approved
until the
script.
scripts are done. I don't know, Justin. Maybe I had a very poor understanding of this, and correct me if I'm wrong. But wouldn't you have contacted Weta Workshop a long, long, long time ago, just when you're making the pitch for a Hunt for Gollum, so you can have supporting artwork,
They don't
sketches,
need to
and
pick. They don't
materials?
need to. Everyone knows what we're getting. The Hunt for Gollum. Everyone knows what we're getting. We're getting old
And
Vigo,
everyone
old
knows that Weta
Orlando,
Workshop is
old
going to be
Ian
ultimately
McKellen,
involved.
and old Andy Serkis, all de-aged with CGI and AI in a Hunt for Gollum movie.
Well, I'm surprised they haven't contacted Weta Workshop yet.
Well,
So
I
It
can.
I'm
has to
surprised.
be. It has to be Weta. It can't be anybody
Can't.
else. It's got
You're
to be
right.
Weta.
It
My only
absolutely.
my only worry would be, for obviously with things under the new regime at HBO and WB,
Mm.
maybe with all the cost savings that they'll try to do, maybe they'll just go in the vaults and all the stuff that y'all have already made, we'll just reuse all that stuff. How many new things do they need to show in the Hunt for Gollum movie? Now, whatever movie 2 is, probably got to be a lot of new stuff. But for Hunt for
Mm.
Gollum, how many new armors? How much new weapons? Like a lot of his
Oh
stuff, I
yeah,
think,
it's
would be
already been
reusable.
designed and maybe even sitting in a
Mm.
warehouse.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Intriguing. All right. Sorry to interrupt the flow of Rings of Power conversation, but I'm just getting these
Well,
spies
based on that
giving me news.
that Hunt for Gollum news, I guess we can officially confirm. Here's our third. This is our third big leak scoop for season 3 Rings of Power. Amazon is ahead of schedule and ahead of the game compared to Warner Brothers when it comes to the new thing. Because take a look at this. One of the heads of visual effects company DNEG, who has done some wonderful work for the first 2 seasons of Rings of Power, says we are currently discussing work for season 3 of the Rings of Power, and I'm looking forward to finding out how we can contribute to another exciting installment. That
Okay,
is,
so they've got their infrastructure. I mean, they've got their pipeline, the production pipeline ready to go from this. All right.
and
That means
DNEG.
they're probably going to get it out sooner. Yes.
I
Yeah.
do not believe DNEG worked on the Balrog, so I hope this calms your fears, that they are not bringing back the Balrog, because this company, I don't believe, did the Balrog.
Yeah, keep him retired for the next 3 seasons is fine with me.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
There's yeah, there's a
we're
lot of reasons to keep the Balrog off stage for now. I
and
agree.
we're not done. We're not done with the scoops, because Varking, you got the biggest scoop of the week. Let me bring it up on screen and tell us what
Ooh,
you've been hearing, Varking.
So right now, Prime Video is putting out casting calls, but they're not the public casting calls yet. They're not at that phase. These are very targeted casting calls where they're looking for specific people to come audition for specific roles. The one that we were able to uncover is that a main casting call has been put out. The character is described as a highborn knight. The type of actor that they're looking for is in their 30s, and the code name for this highborn knight was Arlen.
okay. Wow.
Now,
Okay.
there's a handful of ways that people can look at this. Highborn knight, does it have to be literal? Who would that describe? When they do these kind of code names, sometimes, a knight could be just to kind of grab attention, but it could mean something else. Could be just a high ranking in something like a religious faction, where maybe it could be a Narion, because we're pretty sure he's going to be in season 3, and
Yeah.
he's Elendil's son. Could it
Yes.
be a Celeborn? A lot of people want Celeborn on the show. My personal favorite, and it's again just a theory, I'm not confirming anything, but I think it also could fit Glorfindel, and a lot of
Yes.
people would be pretty pumped and stoked for him. Now, I like to pitch that if the show does a little bit of a flash forward, they're looking for actors in their 30s. Well, I just had a birthday and turned 38, so I'm still within this. A highborn. On the show, there is a young dwarf named Gamley. We didn't see him at all in season 2, but since he's Prince Durin's son, who's King Durin now, he's a highborn. He could be a knight. And this could have come across my desk just for Amazon to ask me to formally audition for the role of grown up Gamley. And I'm here to tell them
I
I
love it.
already have 3 cuts of an audition tape, and it'll be in your inbox by the end of the week.
I love it. That's great stuff. Did anybody in any level of speculation yet mention the possibility of Prince Imrahil? No, that's
No.
no, of course not. Because why am I saying that? Because that's thousands of years away when he would be born. But maybe his ancestors? Hmm. Yeah, you know what? It's looking pretty good for a Glorfindel. It really is. It's looking pretty good for a possible Glorfindel. It really
Why would
is.
Glorfindel be a highborn knight?
Well, again, it doesn't have to actually be a knight or a highborn. Those could just be code words for like somebody of noble blood or of noble stature. That's why like Anarion is on the table as somebody that this could fit the role for, because he's a highborn. He's a high-ranking official, you would think. Elendil's going to have to go be buddy-buddy with him in season 3 and get accepted by probably somebody higher up in their faction to be able to take him in. Because obviously they've clearly not been on the best of terms for season 1 and 2. Otherwise, we would have seen
Mhm.
them hanging out together. But there's so many ways that this could go. So you still have all of the fan cast that people would like to do. Like, this doesn't really rule anybody out that even like remotely fits this role. Another popular theory is that this is just another original character. It's a highborn knight that they're going to introduce that hasn't been named in the lore before, and they're bringing them in for something. But
Uh,
again, This is a main casting call. This is not a public casting call. This is not a casting call that is on the casting sites for you to just go look up.
Mm.
Um, from what I hear,
This is a featured player, not just like we need a background
Mhm.
extra that fits this description. This is a featured acting role with lines.
yes, yeah, they should have decent screen time. And from what I hear, the code for the casting call will actually be on public sites here probably within the next 60 days or so. So we're sharing not the code name now for that, but just in general, if you go hunting not too far from now, people will probably be able to find some of the lesser roles. Maybe there'll be date ranges on there and different ideas of characters that are coming on the show as people who will be in the background and stuff. Like things are definitely progressing and they're making hay on season 3 for sure.
We showed this. Was it
Fascinating.
a couple weeks ago? Yeah. So let me bring this up. Just to bring up history. This is from
I love
Redanian
this so
Intelligence.
much.
These were the code names. Beldor and Eldian were the code names for what we believe Elrond and Galadriel. And then you scroll down, Eric was the code name for Halbrand, aka Sauron.
Mm.
And if we go back up to Tyra, was the code name for the Halfling.
And if you look at that first scene, and this is what I was talking about on Discord the other day, in that first scene, it says the bears will get him if we leave him alone out here. Like if you go through that conversation, that is the conversation that actually took place in the Rings of Power season 1 when the stranger comes crashing down and they're talking about should we leave him or not. What was changed is that it wasn't the bears that they were worried about, it was the wolves. But just about everything else from that conversation outside of their names actually translated to what we saw on screen. And that's what I was saying along with this scoop about the Highborn Knight. It says Highborn Knight, but it could mean something else.
Well, Arlen,
True.
let's see if we can figure something out with the code name is Arlen. Arlen does not sound remotely related to Tyra or Henna, which were Harfoot code names. Does Arlen sound like a code word that goes with Beldor and Eldian?
Barrick is in the YouTube chat and he is edifying us. Always wonderful to be edified by the smartest horse in all of Middle Earth. And Barrick says that the name Arlen comes from the German word Erlen, beginning with an E, which means alder trees. It's a really, really, really close approximation to the German word for the alder trees.
Alder
How about
tree.
that?
Okay, so
Yes.
uh, okay, let me take a step back and
So maybe he's an elf. Maybe this is in support of a Celeborn idea that this says if and
I want
calling
to.
him a highborn knight is not the way I would immediately describe Celeborn in a casting call. So I think, but Varking is right, and these words are chosen as words of obfuscating or making more secret the primary descriptor of who this character is. This is to obfuscate the
You know
truth.
what could
That's what,
work?
really.
The the men in Rune who
Hmm.
got slapped around at the end by the Dark Wizard,
The
they
ones who
could be,
suffered from the plague or the leprosy.
yeah,
Yes.
the whatever it is, that's why they have the masks on. They might
Yes.
have somebody who is technically a highborn knight
Hmm.
who has fallen to whatever this disease, this poison is, and that could be somebody that a Sauron type character could target to give them a ring so that their people could be healed because the Dark Wizard couldn't do it, and it helps flip them, and then maybe they go on to be a future Nazgul or something.
Oh, right. This just couldn't. It might be a character who receives one of the nine rings. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, yeah, indeed.
I
That sounds
want to.
very likely.
I want to dissuade anybody from the idea of this someone heralded canon character like Glorfindel, because I think one of the best things the show ever did was recast older gentlemen as Celebrimbor and older gentlemen as Círdan. I think there's something about having an aged, wise man or woman in very important elder elf role or highborn knight role, whatever you want
Hmm.
to call it, right? So this idea of an actor being in their 30s, I mean, everyone's kind of in their 30s. Morpeth Clark is in their all the main characters, the young, Isildur and Galadriel and Halbrand, everybody's in their 30s. So I don't think someone like uh, Glorfindel should be a hot young thing. I think he should look and feel respected as Elder Celebrimbor did. Charles Edwards doing an amazing job. Um, but Varking, do you think any of this really has to do with dwarves, or you think this is most likely elves?
I don't. I don't think it has anything to do with the dwarves, unfortunately. The other option where, again, it could make sense would be Durin's brother. If he's the son
Hmm.
of a king, he's a
Hmm.
highborn, and maybe he was doing knightly things for the dwarves, and that's why he was not in Khazad-dûm and he was out somewhere. And he must have some sort of claim to the throne that people would follow him outside of just being the son of Durin, that a group would follow him back to Khazad-dûm and be able to be a real threat to the throne for Durin the Fourth and Disa. What I hope is that somebody somewhere, and I said this on video previously, if anybody out there could possibly find a way, I will love you for forever. If you can find a way for me to spin this into somehow there being a highborn knight, hobbit type character, and I could use this information online to troll people, I would love you so much. If anybody can find it out, please message me any bit of text. A highborn hobbit, Harfoot, any halfling
Do
ever.
you, well, that was my next question. They've done Harfoots, they've done stores. Are fallow hides more societal than the agrarian? Feral is the wrong word, but are the fallow hides potentially a more organized society than the other two halfling race clans?
Completely unknown at this point in Second Age history.
What would you like to see? Would you like to see more rural, agrarian, maybe organized farmland fallow hides?
Um, no, actually, I would like to not see any more proto-hobbits in the Second Age at all. I would like
We need to
seasons.
streamline that. We need to streamline.
Yep, I need seasons 3, 4, and 5 to really get into the nuts and bolts of what's happening in Numenor and the devastation that is coming down the pipe. It's gonna happen.
You want to know? You want to know my theory on?
Please.
So, a lot of places have talked in the past about how when the Rings of Power did the whole contract and like what they have the rights to TV with a potential spin-off. It is my belief, based on how the show has been written, that at some point right now, with the way that Nori, Poppy, and the rest of the Harfoot gang are leaving things, I think that if the numbers were better, the idea was going to be to give the Harfoots their own spin-off mini-series, like a 1-2 season thing where they go find the fallow hides and then they can go found their proto shire at some point, and they do it away from the big thing, like the actual Rings of Power show, and then they would come back during the final season just for like a cameo type thing. And on the Rings of Power, without them in the storyline, you would have these other stories more streamlined and everybody would have more screen time for us to feel attachment to these characters. That's what I
Mhm.
thought. But then I think the public opinion for the masses, not for me. I
Mm.
love me a good Harfoot. But I think for genuinely, like, you talk to people online, not everybody loved them. And I think that that may have swayed their decision to not put them in a spinoff on their own.
I have a
That's a good
very
idea, actually.
similar, almost very exactly the same, but not with the Harfoots. With Numenor, I expected Numenor to be a spin-off because there is so much to dive into Numenor politically, religiously,
Mm-hmm.
sociologically, empire building, its relationship with Middle Earth. Like Numenor could be a dedicated series, and then it could come back, and you keep Rings of Power on brand because it's called Rings of Power. I just want to focus on the rings. Like, give me a show about the rings. Like, let's see the rings. Who do they end up with? How do they end up with? You
Yep.
know?
Now, the interesting thing after season two is that the kingdom of the dwarves have a self-contained methodology somewhere to be revealed of how the dwarves will distribute the rings amongst themselves without Sauron having any influence.
Mm.
On
Hmm.
the other hand, the nine rings are going to be, in my estimation, directly distributed by Sauron himself in various guises, whichever guise he wants to take up. As we can see, he can do many. In a flash of an instant, he can be this person, that person. He's super changeling all of a sudden. So the idea that the dwarves are gonna be in operating in a separate bubble, distributing their own rings for their own internal purposes to
Hmm.
satisfy their own ambitions or subterfuge or family drama, the drama of the royal family, the lineage of Durin that is now going to be challenged by his brother. All this is really, really interesting to me because I think it colors the situation a little bit differently in perhaps removing more of Sauron's influence on the dwarves by maybe mitigating it in some possible way. I'm going to ask you, Varking, what you think about that as well. But as it turns out, my suspicion is that there's only two or three characters that exist who will be three of the nine ring wraiths that will ultimately become bearers of the nine rings. I've only seen three characters that might even qualify. That means they've got a lot of time to introduce six other characters who will be given rings by Sauron. So literally, they've got a lot of work to do. That's why I'm saying a lot less of the side stories about proto hobbits, and give us more about what's going on with the rings, like you said, Justin. But Varking, to the point, what do you speculate with the dwarven
Hmm.
distribution of rings amongst themselves? What do you think that's going to be like?
So I think that I'm going to tack this on to my other answer about how Durin's brother is going to come back
Yeah.
and he's going to challenge Durin. And
Hmm.
Durin's going to say, our father died due to the Balrog. And he's going to, what's a Balrog? I've never heard of this. Show me. And he's like, I can't show you. We trapped him. Well, why was the Balrog here? Oh, it's because we put on these rings and they had some bad influence on him. It woke him up. It almost killed all of us. It only got our father, but myself and a couple others, we were able to close it, save the day. Durin's bro is going to be like, show me the Balrog. Show me where. They're going to go there. There's going to
Hmm.
be no evidence of the Balrog at all. He's going to think Durin's a liar. And then he's going to say, you know what? These are the evil rings. I'm taking these rings. I'm giving them out to the guys who came with me. And we're going to show you that there's nothing to worry about. And it's going to be part of this, civil conflict with the dwarves. Durin's brother is going to be the one who distributes all the rings. And then we'll see where it goes from there. And you're
Indeed.
100% right. We do have a lot of characters, human characters, that we have to get on screen and develop and give people the reason for why they would accept rings from Sauron. There's so much that they still have to do just in season 3 alone, that you have to make sacrifices when it comes to the story time some of the other plots are getting. Otherwise, regular viewers aren't going to be as invested into those characters anyway, and it's not going to be a big deal when they get a ring if you don't know who the character is.
That's
Indeed.
a perfect intro to my next comment and question for you guys, which is,
Hmm.
I think everyone, fans and critics, and maybe even some people associated with the production, can agree that the show has too much going on, and if it wants to succeed, it has to streamline. It has to streamline, which means you have to get rid of some storylines and some stuff. Just put them on the
Or
side
or
burner.
you increase from 8 episodes to 10 in the season, or 12, like it's supposed to be.
So
Come
this
on.
is what makes me nervous about your first leak here, Varking, which is we're casting more lead roles. That's not at all what I want to hear.
But but
I do. You're gonna need
What?
this
What?
highborn knight. If this highborn knight is not Celeborn and not Glorfindel and nobody
We
else,
don't need
then
either of
it's
them.
gonna be.
well,
He's a
just
future Nazgul. He's a future Nazgul, maybe. And anonymous girl in the chat, you're right. Kemen is going to be a receiver of one of the nine rings. As much as we know Theo, that's a consistent theory that's been going on for almost 3.5 or 4 years now. But Theo is a future Nazgul. Kemen, for sure. I'm not sure who the third one is right now, but that's only 3 out of 9. So why are you upset, Justin,
you know
about this
who
casting? We're going to
an,
need these people.
another human that's going to take a ring
You're going to
is
need that.
the
Yes.
guy who lost his girlfriend for a couple episodes to Isildur.
Oh, that's a good possibility.
He's totally
Yeah.
going to take a ring to like win her back and have this power. As long as
Yeah.
the foundation in his home never cracks, they're always going to be together, or whatever he said.
Yeah. He's
But
a good actor.
But aren't you? Doesn't it give you pause that the first leak that we have from season 3 is more cast?
no, because we
No.
need we first off we did lose some characters. Okay, we lost Durin the Third, we lost Adar, some other random people
Bronwyn,
nobody really talks about.
Uh-huh.
But
Yep. Yeah.
it's not the amount of characters that concerns me, it's the amount of storylines and screen time that they're getting. Like when it comes to elves, you had Galadriel doing her own thing, you had Elrond doing his own thing, then you had this like meeting with Círdan, then they have to come back together and get with Gil-galad, then Arondir was doing his own thing, Celebrimbor's over here doing something different, interacting with Sauron. Now the elves are sort of grouped together. The dwarves are about to all be together. So they should be able to, even with more characters, tell a more tightly woven story for these groups of characters. It should help things. They obviously still have to introduce more characters because we need ring bearers. It's very important.
You don't
We have
think
to have
we've
them.
met the ring bearers?
And if you don't introduce characters now and you wait until season 4, and if season 5 is your endpoint, there really isn't enough time for any of them on screen. Like Kemen, we were just talking about him, and Aodian, they are two characters that do not get a lot of screen time at all. At some point, they have to pay off in the story for like what they're writing them here for. If you're trusting the showrunners to add characters in season 4 that are supposed to like, it's a lot of trust that they're going to get them right in a short time and make us care for them in a short period of time. It has to be now in season 3, because if they wait till 4, it's probably too late.
That's kind of my point with adding new characters. Look, did we really need Astrid, Alfred, whatever her name is? Did Isildur need a romantic interest on the bloody battlefield? Because that took up screen time versus birthday girl Emma Horvath as Iarion, right?
That did take up screen time, but
Yes, it did.
if the payoff
Sure
is
did.
if the payoff is it impacts Isildur's character for season 3, but also again maybe helps flip her husband into one of the ring bearers, then it's the screen time she got in season 2 helps you understand why he would accept a ring in season 3. So then it pays off.
I feel like that whole story of Estrid should have just been one season alone, and maybe even one episode, as we've seen with other TV shows like Shogun or even Last of Us. You can tell a complete character story in one episode, show their journey through the timeline of the show in that one episode. And I feel like this disjointed, like little bits of Kemen and Anarion here and a little bit of Estrid over here, like it's not working, you know. And the reports that the season 2 ratings were 60% lower than season 1. I mean, people just aren't connecting because we're not given enough time to connect with these characters. That's what has me so nervous about
that yet.
adding new characters. Like, we have enough. There's like 30 featured actors on this show. Don't we have enough? Can't we just tell their stories right now?
If the characters being introduced are recipients of rings of power, which you yourself said about 10 minutes ago was critically important, and we all agree, all of us on this show, and I'm sure many people in the live chat agree, that's important. The distribution of those rings is important. Varking, you couldn't have underlined the point as well as you did, and I'm just gonna back you up entirely on this. There's only so much time left in 3 seasons for that narrative to have the story planted, and then it will gestate, develop, and become a bigger crest and wave with those stories. And then at the end, it comes to a very climactic conclusion with the destruction of Numenor. And ultimately, if they're going to go as far as ending the series with the battle between the last alliance of elves and men, and Sauron making his stand against Erendil and his son Isildur. And if he loses the ring, that is cut from, if Isildur does that final triumphant finger chopping moment, and if they decide that's it, cut to black, that's the end of our TV series. That's it. Then wow, okay, they've
Funny
only
you're
got so much
bringing that
time to
up.
get there. They have so much time to get
We
there.
were talking
It's
about
not
that
6
in
seasons
Discord
long.
today.
Yeah.
You know what we were talking about in Discord today, Cliff? That scene,
Okay.
because in an interview recently, the showrunners McPain said that they were very inspired by The Empire Strikes Back when crafting the ending of season 2.
Yes.
And we all know, or you may not know, that Lindsay Weber and the entire production staff, most of them, worked on Star Wars Rise of Skywalker before jumping into Rings of Power. So it's staffed full of Star Wars people. So the theory in Discord today was that final battle between Elendil and Isildur versus Sauron. Bear McCreary might already have the notes for his own Duel of the Fates to compare a battle between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Imagine the final battle between Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn made the same way with similar type music for the final battle with Sauron, Elendil, and Isildur. The big story beats happen very similarly, do they not? The master gets killed. The son, the apprentice screams, gets in a rage, and cuts the bad guy in half. I'm looking forward to Bear McCreary's Duel of the Fates. That's all I'm saying.
I look forward to Bear music all the time.
All the time. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I said Erindil, and I meant to say Elendil. I think I pronounced his name wrong entirely as a wrong character. Sorry about that, chat. I think I said something.
So it looks like I'm
wrong.
the only one that's getting nervous about casting.
Not nervous about this at all, Justin. No. Don't even let the new actors come in so that they can at least be identifiable for the next 3 seasons.
All right.
Did you think you would care about an Adar original character for 2 seasons the way that you did?
He was such a good character.
We did.
And I did not anticipate that I would love that character as much as I loved that brand new character. Brand new, never mentioned by Tolkien at all, but what an interesting character he was. And I really loved his portrayal. But let me rephrase the question. Varking, Justin, lovely people in the chat. Would you be satisfied if there's a bunch of Nazgul at the end of 5 seasons of the Rings of Power and you do not know who all of them are? They're just completely, oh, yeah, and he gave a few more rings to a few more powerful men.
Doesn't Gandalf and Radagast unearth the open tombs in the Hobbit movie?
They do. The tombs that had been opened. Yes.
And that's when they discover that they are Nazgul.
that the Nazgul have reawakened. Yes,
Oh,
that
so
that they were
there's
never
previous
destroyed.
Nazgul fights.
What? What are you asking? I
Does
mean, I
Gandalf
asked you a
fight the
question.
Nazgul early? I'm saying
No, no, I don't know. I was asking you how you felt about whether there should be anonymous ring wraiths, like they are in the book. In the book, we don't know the names of any of them except Kamul, an Easterling,
Hmm.
and the Witch King of Angmar has a title.
and
He has
there's
a name
three
and a title.
Numenorians, right, that are Nazgul.
There's a suspicion that some of them were evil Numenorians. So we no, but Professor Tolkien left it a complete mystery. We do not know the identities through any elvish or mannish history of who the Ringwraiths are. Would we, as an audience, be satisfied if it's just like, oh, by the time the show is done, we just find out that there were some people who followed Sauron and started, accepting his, power
You know what?
and the
I'll answer.
bribes
Yeah,
and
I'll
the
answer your
exchange of the
question.
rings? Is it a mystery that's going to be okay with you if it remains a mystery?
No,
Considering how much we have
we need to
railed
get rid of
against
mysteries,
mysteries,
please.
that's
I'm
what I'm saying.
begging you. I'm begging you. No more
Then don't
mysteries. No more
then don't
mystery
complain about the
boxes.
casting.
Okay.
Then don't complain about the casting if it helps us
Well, let me ask you
identify
this:
who the
whoever they
Nazgul are.
cast for this role, should they announce the cast and the character this time?
Always. That should have been done a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument for keeping it a secret anymore. People know. Here's the big negative when you don't announce who they're actually playing. People
We'll
online, for
guess.
right or wrong. I it's not I'm not
We got
anti it,
Celeborn wrong.
but people get very very attached to they announce the cast and then we don't see them on screen for like a year. You
Right.
start thinking about who they're playing, and then in your head, that's who is playing this role now. And then when the show comes out and they're not that role, the
We've already
natural
got a
reaction
head
is to
cannon on
feel a
there.
little bit disappointing. Yeah, exactly. And to answer
Ah,
Cliff's question from
yes.
before,
Yes.
if we only knew like three potential Nazgul, and then we see a scene where they're all together, but you have no idea who 2/3 of the group is, I would definitely feel let down not finding this out, not knowing this, not caring about the characters who ended up turning. I want to know them. They need to be cast, they need to be developed. And for all that people give McPain flack for, they have shown through Adar and they've shown through season one. Celebrimbor basically didn't exist because they had to do a recasting. A lot of people loved Celebrimbor by the end of season two. He was, for a lot of people, the highlight of the season, the best
He,
acting performance.
And
yeah,
Kirdan.
he
Yes,
was.
but I will
Celebrimbor.
highlight Celebrimbor as the person who came onto the show late, had a major impact. Part of that is the acting,
Yeah.
but part of that is the writing. It's the script that they were given and the guys went out and executed it that made people care about the character.
So,
So they could do it. They could do it again. They can introduce these future Nazgul now, and if it's good enough, then by one season, but ideally by the end of a second season, they would have done enough for us to feel for the characters, understand the characters really, and what their motivations are, and why they would accept a ring and become corrupted.
I
Yep.
will answer
I'm with
Cliff's
you.
question by saying they did not call this show Lord of the Rings: The Second Age. They did not call this show Lord of the Rings: The Battle for Numenor. They called this show The Rings of Power. And by the
Yes.
end of the show, every single ring should be accounted for. Every single ring should have had a story associated with that ring, how it ended up, where it ended up, on whose hand, who wears a ring on their finger, who wears it around his thing. Maybe someone wears it as an earring. We don't know yet. But a show called Rings of Power should be about rings of power. And if there's any mystery
We
of
agree.
where the 9 rings ended up and who becomes a Nazgul, then the show has failed.
Yeah, so keep casting, guys.
Okay. Okay, exactly. There you go. To that point. Yes. Ha
Well, that's
Thank you, Varking. Very
That's
good.
perfect. So again, we got the big leaks this week. Is they are casting major characters, right here, a highborn knight. We also got confirmation that visual effects studio DNEG is already discussing work for season 3, which means they've probably seen some previs scripts and maybe some storyboards of what visual effects will be needed in the show. That's interesting. We got the cinematographer of 6 episodes of the show saying he's going to be in the UK for 10 months. And separately,
that is not the cinematographer pictured there in that image, just
no,
for clarity.
that is the mayor
That's
of
just...
Bray. But you know what? If that was the cinematographer of Rings of Power, I'm okay with it. I don't care what you look like, as long as your camera work is good. And of course, this unsubstantiated rumor that starts filming in May. So if it starts filming in May and it's 10 months long, we're looking at March of 2026 before production is even done. And if it keeps on schedule, is March, April, May, is 6 months enough time to do post-production for a September 1st season 2 launch or season 3 launch, or does this get pushed back into 2027? That is the question to remain. I think Amazon should announce a hard deadline date of when this show is coming out. What's the next piece of information you would like to see officially announced? And what would you like to leak just for your own curiosity? I'll start with you, Varking.
Well, I think the big thing that most people would like them to announce would be the official green light of season 3, just so that they can put that internet argument to bed for sure.
Please.
For me personally, like from a leak standpoint, I would love to just continue to do things where it's information that isn't the script. It's not the story. It's not spoilers that's going to ruin something for somebody. So if we can get more casting stuff, or if we can get, a better date range for when something is filming, or when they'll be at certain studios, or like in season 2, there was a guy who's flying drones by all the time, getting some pictures from
Bray
drones.
Studios.
That would be really cool. Just something that it doesn't ruin the story for anybody.
Maybe Amazon
but it
can
gives you a
hire
little
that
bit
drone
of info.
guy and make it official.
They should, and then use them to do some of the shots.
Cliff, 2 questions. What do you want an Amazon to announce officially, and what would you like to hear leaked? What's most pressing on your mind for season 3?
Actually, to be quite honest, I'm going to make a side step and say that it's important that Prime Video announce 4K ultra high def versions of these seasons that exist. If I'm not mistaken, the marketplace has only seen the release of regular Blu-ray, but we need to see these physical discs come out with 4K UHD. Please, anyone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this doesn't exist yet at all.
There's no
that's the first.
There's no DVDs. There's no VHSs. There's no Betamaxes. Nothing.
There's no isn't there Blu-ray?
No, I think
Blu-ray?
the only thing they ever printed was a for your consideration type DVDs that they had given out to like reviewers for a while there. But if you dig back a little bit, there is a guy with like
really
40,
there's
50...
no Blu-ray release at all.
No, there's nothing.
None. None. And the rumor is there's a guy who's kind of in tune with all this information about what DVDs are getting released.
Oh, that would be Bill Hunt at the Digital Bits, our friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, this is a different guy.
A different guy, okay.
But he's got an amazing track record. I didn't believe it when it got posted online, so I had to look into him a bunch, watch a bunch of videos, and his information typically does pan out. But it was a video from like April of last year, and he said that the Rings of Power Season 1 Blu-ray was set to be scheduled for release in 2025. And he put that tweet out, and then later he did a video about it as well. Okay. So that was the rumor, is that at some point this year that we're in now, Season 1's Blu-ray will finally appear. Yeah, and there's fingers crossed it does.
I am aware of the bootlegs that are on eBay.
Yeah, this is different.
I assume there's a team of lawyers at Prime Video that are also aware of that. That's fine too. But we need to see more television shows
But
even
why
some.
would they do that? We want Rings of Power in the top streaming numbers, and if you have it on DVD, you're not streaming it, and it doesn't count. So
So
I
I'm
here's
agree
talking
with
about.
their.
I'm talking about after its release, and after. I mean,
It's
look.
still in the top 3 right now. Let me bring up the tweet.
Well, no,
it
no, no,
is, it
no, no,
is.
no.
But can I
My
make an
dude.
argument?
Go ahead.
So I'm a bit of a nerd, and there's a new
Do
show
tell. Do
that's
tell.
filming today. It started camera shots today called Lanterns. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. I got a
Is
Green
that why
Lantern.
your whole thing is
Oh.
green right now?
I love that. Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
the lights are green always. So when I do my videos for the podcast, it's already green in
That's
the
great.
background.
That Lanterns is the show they're making for Max, right?
Yes, they are
Yes,
making it
yes, yes,
for
yes.
Max. It's going to be about the Green Lanterns. And I
Yes.
say that because the Green Lanterns have a really bad 2011 original film live action with Ryan Reynolds that did not do
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
but it was a movie. Outside of that, we have an animated series that did one full season, like 26 episodes, and it was amazing. And then we had 3 animated movies set in the Green Lantern universe for DC. Yeah, somebody called me a nerd. You're right, Shiv Knight. I am. Now,
Love it.
hold on.
Love it. Ha ha.
Okay. Here are my Green Lantern DVDs. I have them all, every single one. They're airing a show called Lanterns. It's going to come out next year. But on Max, who owns the right to all of them, on January 1st, they took away the ability to stream every single one except for the 2011 movie. So if you don't have a DVD, you can't legally stream it anywhere. So I want my 4K Rings of Power DVDs so I can own it for forever. So if they ever decide to take it away in the future, I still have it. And yeah, I see some people, a lot of people know some Green Lantern stuff in the chat. Sinestro, they did just cast Sinestro. I know a guy who leaked that information a little bit ago. But
That's
DVDs,
interesting.
physical DVDs, a way to watch your stuff, very important because the streamer can just straight take it away. And I don't even know why they did it, because right now would be the time you'd want to watch this stuff before that show comes out. I want my DVD.
Me too. I want 4K ultra high def of a lot of television content. I really do want I want all of it. That's just
See,
me.
But look at this. According to Flix Patrol, right now, most popular shows on Amazon Prime this week with no promotion. They haven't tweeted. The official accounts from Rings of Power have not tweeted since December. They haven't shown any TV commercials during football for it. But for some reason, somehow, the power of fandom, the Rings of Power is currently number 3 on Amazon Prime. That does not happen if y'all are sitting on DVDs and Blu-rays. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, I don't. No, I mean, the Rings of Power went from 8 billion viewers. The report came out just the other day. First season was 8 billion. The second season of Rings of Power had 3 billion viewers. And now we haven't talked about those numbers yet that were released. Even Marvel had been looking at some of those numbers, looking at the performance of Secret Invasion and how poorly those numbers did compared to the cost of the production. And it made Kevin Feige and everybody else internally change the whole direction and cancel an actual Marvel feature film that was supposed to be Armor Wars, set up and related to that. So with the numbers changing and the streaming platforms facing a lot of troubles in maintaining a captive audience, the reason why I keep advocating, and Varking, you're with me on this, I'm sure, the reason why we keep advocating for spinning disc physical media is because you never know when they're going to do, oh, Willow? No, zap, it's off the platform. You'll never get to see it ever again.
Yep.
And all the people who really enjoyed the resurgence of the new Willow TV series on Disney Plus are outraged, not to mention
so Willow isn't even
cast and
available
crew.
right now? Like,
No.
even though
Willow?
it just came out?
No, they
No, it's
took
not.
Willow off of Disney Plus like 3 months after the finale aired. They did not
Do you
wait
think
long at
there's
all.
ever a chance
Gone.
that Rings of Power gets deleted from Amazon Prime?
In this world of crazy
Just-
pants,
There's
anything
no
can
way.
happen.
It's the
You never
number
know.
one
You
You
never
never
They
know.
know.
spent two
You never
But
know.
billion dollars on this show. There's no
you're
way.
right, they did. And know what would help them recoup some of that money? DVDs. But also it wouldn't hurt the streaming numbers because most people are,
Look,
I don't want to say lazy, but
oh my God.
for me, again, I have all the Green Lantern DVDs up here.
Sure.
I've
Yeah.
owned them for forever. But
Yes. Bless your heart.
if I'm just sitting on the couch, I turn the TV on. I'm just going to my streaming app and turning on the Green Lantern movie. I'm not coming in here to grab the DVD for it and then bring it back out there. Plus, I don't want to scratch up the disc, so if I can avoid using it. But again, it's like that backup format to be able to have that backup in case they do take it down for whatever reason. Then I can still watch my Rings of Power if they ever took it off the platform.
You know what?
Yes.
Does Rings of Power find a new life if it gets licensed? Old seasons get licensed to Netflix.
I think everything finds life on Netflix.
Well, what
Do you
bothers
think
me
the
is
vibe of the show?
the Dark Crystal conversation comes to mind when you're talking about Netflix mishandling an award-winning and beloved large-scale fantasy intellectual property.
Counterpoint:
They
Castlevania Nocturne is incredible. It got two
Yes.
seasons of 8 episodes, just like Rings
Yep.
of Power. And Castlevania Nocturne knocks it out of the park. In fact, there's a lot of parallel themes between the second age of Lord of the Rings and what's going on in Castlevania Nocturne. I highly recommend that animated show.
I love Nocturne. I love Castlevania in all of its iterations. It is really wonderful to have our own Thorin Oakenshield be, the main voice
He's not in
of the
Nocturne.
main character.
Yeah, the
Not in
Nocturne
Nocturne,
is
but in the
new
in the
one.
previous series.
And
But it's
Yeah,
Graham
he was
connected.
McTavish.
great.
Yeah,
Oh,
was
it's
great.
so great. Richard Armitage can do no
and
wrong.
Graham McTavish in the
Yes.
original Castlevania anime.
Great stuff.
Incredible.
Love that
well,
stuff.
look, incredible leaks from season 3. I hope this helps put to bed that it is season 3 coming. It is coming. They're working on it. People are getting paid to do work right now. They're casting for it. They're crewing up. But I think I agree with Varking is that Amazon needs to put a big, bright, shiny graphic on the internet that says season 3 now in production. And from the official account, and just let the fans know we're in somewhat good hands, and it's being worked on. We've got so much to talk about next week, Cliff. I want to talk to you about AI and the Brutalist and the Oscar race, and more about Castlevania Nocturne and Haladriel, and we can talk about the viewership stats next week. We've also got stats of the streaming numbers and download numbers for War of the Rohirrim. There's a lot of data to talk about next week, but this week was all about the season 3 first round of leaks for season 3. Varking, any last thoughts before we close up?
Yep, my last one is just because I won't be here on the future weeks. But as we're talking about streamers and what they'll do and when things are available, next month, February, which is just a couple days away, we are scheduled to have the War of the Rohirrim come to HBO Max. So if you haven't seen it yet, or you just stream it, or you just want to stream to help out the numbers of it, February is the month that it's supposed to be out on HBO Max for you guys to watch.
Get out, really?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a date?
I don't
Fascinating.
think we have a date. I just know February.
We just have February, and that's fresh news. Well, let's.
Somebody asked in the chat, what is The Dragon Prince? It's an amazing animated show on Netflix.
It's
It
quite
is.
good. It's a good show, very entertaining. You know what? I don't think, not to beat the dead horse anymore, but when I want to watch The Age of Resistance, and I often do want to watch more Dark Crystal all the time, I can't put in my own 4K disc to watch it. I have to go to streaming and stream it on Netflix. And if they ever decide to do some crappy decision like they did with The Willow and pull the series off the platform, it doesn't exist anymore, I'm going to be so mad. There will be blood on the streets when that happens. Seriously. So it is not necessarily that Prime Video should be worried that a release of a physical disc copy of Rings of Power is going to diminish the viewership. They've already got that problem with diminished viewership. What they want is to monetize the real fans who really want copies of Rings of Power, or insert any show in the blank that you want, because if they pull some BS and
But they
remove it off the
want it on the
platform,
top charts. Look at that. It's number
then
3
you
this
have
week on Prime Video.
then
You don't get that
then
on
you've just
DVD.
destroyed a complete revenue stream. If you do that way,
That's the
then you've
revenue
made
stream right there.
there's an additional revenue stream. And it's like,
Damn
wow,
bad.
look at how good this show looks in 4K. Do you
Yes.
know how many shows we've had talking about how great a 25-year-old Fellowship of the Ring looks when we pop in our 4K disc? We can't stop talking about it. We've been talking about it for years and years and years because it looks so amazing to look at the movie with fresh eyes. And years from now, people are still going to want to look at Rings of Power like I want to look at Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. I really can't say how much more we need to advocate for physical media of some of our biggest TV shows that are out there right now. We deserve it, and the studio can monetize on it. It makes total sense to me, but we're still not getting it. It's a mystery. It's just such a mystery to me. But anyways, what a show. What a great show we've had today. Talking with you, Varking, and having some great insights. Yes, we need to get on the set and get embedded onto the Lanterns TV series.
Yes.
You know, we need to get
Forget
embedded on set.
Lanterns. We're a couple months
Let's
away
do
from season 3 of Rings of Power. Just
Yeah.
send Varking to set. Send Cliff
you-
to set. Just
Lanterns is filming in LA right now.
You know what?
Hey,
I'm
if
afraid
you can
that
get
if
us
they-
in, Cliff will go over there.
I'm
got you.
there. I'm so there. If Rings of Power was ever going to invite us to be, on set as a secret spy, like in the good old days of Ain't It Cool News, then I think that ship has sailed. They haven't asked me yet. I don't think they're gonna ask me, but by now it's great. But I would love to do that. I can see the chat blowing up. You guys are the best. We have the best live audience, and I want to before we close the show, I want to take a very quick second and acknowledge you. You guys, thank you for joining us on the Facebook, YouTube, and all the other platforms coming through and being part of our conversation. Justin,
before we go, I wanted
before
to
we
just,
go, show us that.
give a shout out to Eowyn.
Eowyn, the storm. Yes.
Eowyn battering down on Ireland. This is
Wow.
Northern Ireland. We've got video from Northern Ireland here. Let's see if it'll play.
Oh my gosh. No, dude, you don't mess around with wind like that.
That is.
I come
the
from
coast-
hurricane country. You do not mess around with wind like that.
Look
you
at
do
that.
not.
That those are 120 mile per hour gusts of wind from
Yes.
Storm Eowyn on the northern coast of Ireland. That guy's crazy.
Wow.
That guy's crazy.
Yeah.
What happens if he jumps
Really
in
crazy.
the air, Cliff?
He's gonna get knocked back, just like
Um,
Nori and Poppy would have if they weren't holding on to that well when the stranger was going crazy.
True. If he jumped in the air, he would be airborne, but not in the direction where he could control his fall. And we're talking about a broken back, broken legs, really bad things. Really bad idea to be there. Because you're not as agile as a cat who's always going to land on his feet. We human beings are not anywhere near that agile.
Yep.
Sorry, this is a bad idea.
And then
You
guess
jump
what,
in the
Justin?
air, man, forget it.
That guy breaks his back and he goes home and he's trying to watch his little show on his streamer, his favorite streamer, and the internet goes down and he can't get up out of bed and he doesn't have DVDs to put in. Well, now he's just screwed. Give me my 4K DVD.
Absolutely.
I feel ya. All right. Point proven. Torn Tuesday is here every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are so happy that you guys take time out of your week to join us and talk Tolkien every week. And we love everybody in the chat. And we love our special guests. And Varking, thanks for being a wonderful admin and mod on our Discord and on all the subreddits. And just a wonderful. And now we're
Yes.
mostly on Blue Sky, aren't we?
Yep.
On the blue ski. Yep. That's
Yeah,
right.
I
I basically quit everything else.
I did too. I just got into it with some people on Twitter today.
So you're still
saying
on
that I was
Twitter? Nope, you're still
no.
there.
Only to make the announcement that I had moved to Blue Sky and to tell them that I am QuickBeam 2000, the exact same account name that I have been on all of the socials,
There
just
you
to
go.
make that announcement. But yeah, I agree, Varking. We're not going to support the idiocracy if we can help it, or the wannabe technocrats. Not going to support that mess at all. So
But you
you can
guys
find us
do
on Blue
support a
Sky.
bigger cast on this show, which is crazy
We
to
sure
me.
Yes.
do.
But whatever.
Yes.
All right, take us out, Cliff.
Thank you again, Varking. You are amazing. You're the best mod of all the mods. You are the mad mod. You're the best. The mad mod. We should we should make up your wrestling luchador persona. Your whole luchador crazy character could be based on the mad mod or something. We'll make up something for
We'll
you.
make it work.
Varking, you're the best. Thank you for being here. Justin, you're a blessing. You really are. And thank you for being with me another year. It's amazing to have you all here. Beautiful chat, folks. Have a great night. Please be careful with one another. Yes, Otaku Senpai, the Magic Castle is fine. It didn't burn down. They put the fire out very quickly that same night, and it never even got that far. You guys just be wonderful to each other. We don't have but very brief lives. We have very brief lives on this earth, and that means while we're here, we make the best of it. We make the best of all of it, and let's be here for each other. Look for the helpers always. Thank you to the audience and everybody. We're going to be here again. We're going to be here again next week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Same place, same channels. It's going to be fantastic. You can find me on Blue Sky, QuickBeam 2000, maybe a little bit of Instagram still there for purposes of mischief and getting some weddings done. But I'll see you guys next week right here. Until then, good night and good luck, or as I like to say, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye bye.